Good morning, everybody. All right, it's 9:32. We ready to get started? All right. Well, let's go around the room real quick, the virtual room. Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to the Colorado Tree Care Sector Partnership monthly meeting for the month of March. Pretty sure that's the month we're in. I'm Josh, the chair of the sector partnership. I'm the owner operator of We Love Trees, which is a small residential tree care company based in Niwot, Colorado. I also teach some of the related learning at Front Range Community College, and I have a competency-based registered apprenticeship in my company, and I have one apprentice who is in his first year. So I am going to hand it off to Kelly to introduce himself real quick.
Everybody, Kelly Gooch, district manager for Save a Tree Colorado / Montana. Participating in the apprenticeship program as well. One will be graduating here soon as a third-year apprentice and into Journey, and then a few first-year apprentices as well. So I'll pass to Mr. Merriman. Dave, you're on mute, bud.
Okay, there. My name's David Merriman with Arborist. I own a small tree care company. I have one third-year apprenticeship, and like Josh, I am trying to get the competence base ready to go. And I will hand this off to Corey.
Thanks, Dave. My name's Corey. I am the ArborJet rep here in the West and a host of award-winning podcast, Discovering Forestry Podcast, which a couple of you have listened to and Josh has been on. And I'll pass this to my good friend, Mr. Mike Earl.
Good morning, everybody. Mike Earl, Old Growth Tree Service owner operator in Eagle, Colorado. Joined the sector partnership board this last winter, looking at opportunities to bring the apprenticeship program to the Rocky Mountain region and the Western Slope. Lindsay.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. It's good to see a lot of these faces. I haven't been at this meeting in a while, but Madeline, my coworker, is taking a much needed vacation this week. So I'm happy to jump in and say hi. I'm Lindsay. I'm with the Park People, and we are launching our first cohort of pre-apprentices in tree care this coming August and September. Let's see, I'll pass it to Nancy.
Think you're muted, Nancy. Pass it to somebody else. All right, how about Alex?
Hi, everyone. I'm Alex Clowen. I'm the work-based learning navigator for Employment Services Weld County. This is my first time coming to one of these meetings. I work closely with Holly with Weld County Youth Conservation Corps. Just wanted to see what's going on, how our Conservation Corps can participate, and thinking about apprenticeship up in the north too. So seeing how we can be a part. I can pass it to Holly then.
Good morning, Holly Bernhardt with the Weld County Youth Conservation Corps. I haven't been to one of these meetings in a little while, but the Youth Corps is very interested in getting a lot of our chainsaw crew members into apprenticeships. So I think this is a very good platform to learn a lot about that Let's see where we fit.
Welcome, Holly. Can you pass it on?
Yes, I'm looking at the names to see who hasn't gone. Is Nikki gone? Ask
Thanks,
you-
Holly. I haven't. I'm Nikki Lucas. I'm with the Place Setting Company, and we provide administrative support for the partnership. So I'll pass it to my colleague, Amanda.
Good morning, everyone. Great to see you all. My name's Amanda. As Nikki mentioned, I'm with the Place Setting Company and support the partnership. And I will admit that you all are my first, actually second meeting since I'm returning from vacation. So I'll be kind of sitting in the back and soaking it all up this morning. But great to see you all. And I will pass it to Lynn Vossler.
Hello, everyone. Lynn Vossler, Director of Workforce at Front Range Community College and overseeing the related learning portion of the apprenticeship program. I was going to pass it to Nancy because I saw her back, but now she's out of her chair again. I don't know who else hasn't gone. Oh, here she comes. Nancy, can you hear us? Yes? Can you introduce yourself? No? Okay, Nancy is with the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment and is an apprenticeship consultant with them.
Is Nancy like similar to the role Cat Plaza was? All right.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're our, yes, thank you.
She's our workforce person.
Awesome. How about Adrian Camacho?
Hello, everyone. I'm Adrian Camacho. I'm the forestry superintendent in Aurora. Been going to these for a while now.
Awesome. Good to see you, Adrian. How about Joseph?
Hey guys, Joe Tabano. I'm an ACE coordinator for internships. That is alternative cooperative education within DPS. So yeah, always here looking for new opportunities for my internships for summer and for spring and just to make those good connections. I will be not doing my video because I'll be in and out of talking with students as well. So
Cool. Well, thanks for being here, Joe. Appreciate it. And how about Kelly?
Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Kelly Mazer and I am the executive director. Sorry, I got some feedback there. I'm the executive director for the ISA Rocky Mountain chapter. This will be my second meeting, so excited to be here.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, Kelly. Appreciate your support to our sector partnership through the ISA. They are acting as our fiscal agent, so keeps our partners at the Place Setting Company compensated. So thank you for that. Nikki, I do not have a copy of the agenda up in front of me. If you could kind of take it from here.
Sure, no problem. Can you see that now?
Yes.
Great.
Awesome. Well, let's hop into Arborist apprenticeships. We have maybe get an update. I think there are some classes ongoing and a cohort update. I will start off by, saying that I realized that I had not yet paid Front Range Community College for the related learning for our Arborist apprentice. So we just actually got that payment submitted today. So feels good to be current, and not freeloading. So got that out there. And I do believe maybe Lynn can fill us in. We have some classes ongoing. We've got some new instructors. Lynn, can I ask you to kind of speak to your update? And then, yeah, if you could do that.
Sure. And thank you to Josh. You found this some amazing instructors, very fun. We have a lot of different ones. I think we have almost 10 different instructors teaching to get through all the classes. We are through with our #1 cohort. They have finished all their classes, I believe. So they are complete. We still have three more classes with year 2, and I believe 2 more classes for year 3. So April 6th will be the last class for our 3rd year, and we're going to hold a celebration to congratulate them. It's been really fun, and we have some great instructors. I have to say, Save a Tree, you're kind of in the same boat as Josh. I'll be talking to you because there's still some outstanding tuition payments there. So other than that, things have gone really well. We don't have to wear masks on campus anymore, so we're really happy about that. But and all the instructors are very hands-on, so the students have been out doing a whole lot of fun things. We've had to call off a couple of classes due to snow because we do all our climbing in March. We don't want students up in trees in the snow, but been able to make those up. So, and thank you to the employers and the students for being so flexible, because we've had to change the schedule around quite a bit to accommodate some of that.
Awesome. Thank you, Lynn. Yeah, so you mentioned it, we'll be having the celebration of the Journeyworkers completing their apprenticeship program April 6th. And so I see their flyer in parentheses. Thank you for this, Nikki. And I would hopefully anyone that can or is willing to share this on like social media and other posts, that would be great, just to kind of get some awareness out there. I don't know, Kelly, if there's a way to do that through the ISA. I know I shared this with the board at TCIA, but I think just putting it out there, ALCC as well, making sure that we're raising awareness about all the work we've put into this and being able to celebrate that. So yeah, it's just kind of I guess I threw some questions in there. I don't know, Kelly, is that something you could share with membership or?
Yeah, I was just, was there a copy of this distributed, or can I get a copy of it?
I think you can. I see Nikki nodding her head, and maybe she's going to email it to you right now, or.
Yep, I'm happy to do that. And it was one of the attachments on the meeting reminder a week ago, but I'm absolutely happy to send it to you personally.
Awesome. Yeah, sometimes with all the incoming information, it's so hard to, stay up on everything. So multiple sends is great. I don't know, Lindsay, Denver Park people, if there's a way for you also to maybe share this even with just your team, or I don't know. But we're just looking to raise awareness, and the more people that know about what's going on, the more likely we are to be successful and get the flywheel spinning on the program. So anybody's support of this be greatly appreciated.
Absolutely. I'll share it with the team and see if we can't get it on social too.
Awesome. Thank you, Lindsay. Appreciate the teamwork, everybody. Teamwork makes the dream work. Yeah, so I'm planning to attend. I hope some of the rest of you are also planning to attend. And yeah, it looks like does anybody have any questions or comments or thoughts about this first couple Arborist apprenticeship topics?
Josh, I do want to say that we will hold a feedback session with apprentices and employers at 3:30 that day, right before the celebration. Both of them, the celebration takes place in the rotunda at the college, so it's the easiest place to find on campus. It's the big round portion, and then the feedback session will be in the Rocky Mountain room, which is just a room in the back of the rotunda. So all apprentices and employers are invited to attend that. We just like to go over, how did the schedule work? How did the instruction work? Anything you would want to change? We are talking about, are there ways to make the program a little more hybrid, so we're not spending as much time in the classroom, and maybe condense it down a bit. So am anxious to hear your feedback if you were involved in the apprenticeship program at that 3:30 event right before the celebration at 4.
Awesome. I'm curious, Lynn, do we have a vehicle or like a survey for like, I know that feedback requests are given to the apprentices based on the classes specifically, but I wonder, is there an opportunity to harvest some of their perspective, and ideas, because, they're really the ones that are in it and have lived it. So just, I don't know, I wanted to throw that out there.
Josh, let me send you the outline for that meeting. And you're right, maybe we can send out a survey before that to get people to start thinking about that and get in, if they can attend that meeting, get some information back to us.
Cool deal. Awesome. Well, thank you, Lynn. Really appreciate your work. And Lynn, can we expect that any changes coming up on your end of things?
I'll still be around in the fall for sure. And there may be some scooting around with the workforce team. They are hiring a brand new position, an associate vice president of workforce, who will oversee all of our workforce programming. That position is posted right now, so there will be a new person in that spot, but I'll still be around in the fall to help get the apprenticeship up and going.
Awesome. Great news. Thank you, Lynn. Appreciate all your work and effort to help us and support us, keep us on track with this. Nancy Murray, can we queue you up for workforce funding opportunities? Un momento.
I'm hoping so. Can you hear me?
Woohoo!
Okay. Woohoo! Finally. So hello. Oh, and I don't even have a picture. You just get the big old green telephone. So I did want to share a couple of funding opportunities that are going on in workforce right now. The first one is the Scale Up grant. And Nikki, did you already send out a link for the Scale Up grant, or was that a question? Should I put that in the chat?
Put it in the chat. I think we've been talking about it and trying to understand who the best would be to apply, and so without kind of that instruction, I don't think that I have communicated it out.
Well, and I think that so the Scale Up grant is really a grant for program development and program expansion. So if there's a business that wants to develop a program, or there's a business that has a program and wants to expand it, currently they've got 3 apprentices and they want to bring on another mentor and be able to expand it to 6 or 5. I think it's that kind of a thing. If you go to the link, they just went live, I think, last week, and they added the RFA, which is essentially the description of like what it could cover. So if you haven't looked at that, I would definitely go to the Scale Up website. And I don't have it here, so I'll try to pull that in before we finish. But I would go to that website and look for the little link that says RFA, and that's going to give you more ideas about who might apply and what you could use the funding for. And I think it is funding. It's $10,000 to $50,000, and so just kind of have that idea in your mind. That's the kind of scale and scope that they're looking at. And if I'm correct, I believe they're doing rounds of them. So this will be kind of like the first round, and there may be another one later. And then there is the money for apprentices. Thank you, Nikki, for that. There's the money for apprentices, and right now there are 2 different grants, and they kind of can support 2 different kinds of apprentices. So if you have a new apprentice who you are going to be hiring on, or you're going to be enrolling in your current program, there is a grant there up to $3,000, maybe $3,200. I'm not sure exactly what every workforce is doing. That grant is available to those folks who are like been offered a job, but have not begun the apprenticeship. So this is a really important thing. I'd like to talk about a tool that I'd like to send you all so that you could use it. But if, say, you hire folks in April and you have them work for the summer, and then if they seem like a really good fit and they're going to stick around, then at that time you enroll them in your apprenticeship, then you can just wait to connect to workforce until you do that. If, however, you hire people in April and they enter the apprenticeship right when they start working with you, you need to connect those folks to workforce before they are enrolled in Rapids, before they get enrolled in your apprenticeship. Unfortunately, this grant has a really tight window there. The apprentice cannot already be enrolled in Rapids in the Registered Apprenticeship Program to be eligible. So for that, I wanted to provide you all with a referral form that you could hand out to your apprentices. And I'd like to share that with you if I can. Do I have sharing abilities? I think I'm disabled right now, Nikki.
I think she just gave it to you.
Oh, yes. Okay. And you might have seen this before. I think we were going to try to do this before. It says draft right now because I want to, there's a couple things that I want to do. So first off, it just says that you guys are partnering with Workforce to support eligible, and here, let me make this bigger so that you all can see it. View, where is my? So you're partnering with the Workforce system to ensure that apprentices have the resources that they need. And it's just your local workforce may be able to provide support. Everybody who gets support needs to be in Connecting Colorado, so that's kind of the first step. And then to determine if they're eligible and access the funding, they will want to contact the workforce centers here. And so one of the things that I wanted to do, because I know that we have some people who are, or some businesses who aren't along the Front Range, and I wanted to make sure that I was including the counties where we have apprenticeship programs and where you have business partners. So I'm wondering if there's anybody on the call right now who doesn't see their county represented, please let me know. And or Nikki, if you know of any programs that their counties aren't represented, please let me know. So there's that. I do have this little thing at the bottom, and I just want to know if you guys feel that this is okay. One of the things we wanted to do is, particularly in those situations where, say, you're going to hire people right into the apprenticeship program. When you've interviewed them and you're about to offer them the job, if you have this standard thing like, we'd love to offer you this job contingent on a background check and references, and oh, by the way, go to the workforce center and see if you're eligible for funding, they might be able to help you out. That's kind of the good timing part to do this. Then I just added, just because you're eligible for workforce funding doesn't mean you're going to have a job if your references don't pan out, and you don't necessarily have to have workforce funding in order to get a job. So the two are not dependent on one another. It's an opportunity that we're hoping to just provide to you. So does that seem like that would be helpful?
Yes, thank you for that. And it's great that that's laid out. I think, my questions, or what it sounds like, what I think I heard here is, hey, if you're going to hire someone directly into a position as an apprentice, you got to get them hooked up with your local workforce center in person before you bring them into your organization, if you're hiring direct to an apprenticeship position. However, and a lot of companies their apprenticeship is set up like this, like you kind of have to be onboarded, or there's a period of time you have to be employed before you can be considered for an apprenticeship program. Right. And if that's the case, you need to reach out to these folks prior to looking at enrolling them in an apprenticeship program, which would include registering them on the Rapid system. Is that right?
That's exactly right. And I would say this, depending on the workforce region, that process of getting them enrolled in workforce so they're eligible for the grant, I would say at minimum is a week, and probably more likely is 2 weeks. So like if you know that you're going to enroll them in October, I would reach out to Workforce in September and kind of give that time frame. So yeah, there's that. And that's for new apprentices. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, like where the devil's in the details with some of these things, and I think that there needs to be like, and I'd be curious what other people's feedback is. But when it comes to programs, like I know myself as a business owner and manager, and talking with like new or prospective employees, their ability to follow through on these types of like process heavy things that, people need hand-holding with, this is my experience, right? Or they need somebody to like drive it for them. And I guess my question is like, hey, if we as a business owner call, do we need to call the workforce center and be like, hey, I've got a prospect, they're going to reach out to you, I need you to help them get through the system? Or is this something like, we should just be like, listen, I want you to have access to this funding, so I'm going to kind of like be your partner in making sure that you pay for, go through the whole process. What do you see? I mean, are you seeing success with prospective employees in other industries following through with this? How does that typically work? Because I think that's what we need to know for expectations.
I would say this, that if it is the apprentice who's actually paying for the training themselves, they're usually pretty motivated to reach out, because otherwise it's money out of their pocket. And, and so they appreciate the opportunity to see if they could get some funding. I think that it is always, it can't hurt to be the business to reach out to the, regions that your employees work in and say, hey, I'm going to be sending a few folks, just wanted to give you a heads up, that. If you have a good relationship with your workforce, maybe they'll reach out. And I know that I used to get employers. I was the person who got these calls, and I would get employers who said, Nancy, Joe Schmo is going to be calling you. Here's their number. And I would give them a call, but I'll tell you, I'd give them a call. And if they didn't call me back, I probably wasn't calling them again. So I will say that when the apprentice is the one who would normally be paying, they tend to be pretty motivated. If it is the business that's paying for the training, but they'd love it if they could, maybe not have to pay it because the apprentice gets paid, then that may be where you need to help walk them along. And I think we can help you. Workforce, I'm hoping that Workforce could maybe help you walk them along.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you for speaking to that. That was just kind of my question in terms of like, how do you implement? I don't know if anybody else has questions or comments.
Josh.
Yep.
I have a question. My question is we are in Arapahoe County, but we get people from Denver, Jeffco, Douglas, all that. So when they go to apply, they apply at their county, not where we're from, unless they're in Arapahoe County, correct, Nancy?
Yes, and that's why we made this with all of those counties on there. So you just give it to them and say, you need to go to the county where you reside. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And I saw Alex has her hand up. You're welcome.
Yeah, let me provide a little bit of insight too on the referral process, since I would be one of those people that you are referring your apprentices to just for Weld County. One thing that we have done is we will work with the employer directly to send our case managers to the employer when the staff are on site in that moment. So we of course still need their consent to enroll them in the program, but it makes it so that they don't have to take time out of their personal day to enroll themselves, because the money goes both to that staff member and to you if you are paying the training. So it's beneficial to you as the employer to have them enrolled. So a lot of times you can work with the Workforce Center, set up a day where they can do a mass intake of your 2 or 3 apprentices all at once, and they can usually, depending on the center, they can visit you as well.
Yeah, that's very helpful. And one thing that I forgot, I didn't put on here, is down at the bottom, I will have kind of what they can expect and what most apprentices are going to have to expect. And so that you as employers understand this, they're likely going to have to fill out an application. They're likely going to have to meet with Workforce Center caseworker. And that could be, as Alex mentioned, doing that on site, but they're going to need to do the application, provide documentation, meet with that caseworker, which may be on site, maybe at the employment center, or maybe virtually. and then sign some documents. Usually those documents are going to be like an affidavit of immigration to show that they're lawfully present. It might be a release of information so that they can, so the Workforce Center can talk with Front Range about their progress in the program. So it will be more than just getting a name down. There'll be a little bit there, but we're working on trying to get those things kind of as streamlined as possible. So just so you guys know, and I will add that to the bottom of this. So when you hand out, you can read it as well, and you kind of know what's there. The other thing, so the $3,000 is for new apprentices. There is still money also available for apprentices who you might already have in your program, but who have not yet accessed workforce money. And I don't know if there's very many of those or any of those, but if you do, there's also a $750 scholarship for those folks. We'll give you the same list. You connect to the workforce for the same list. Denver and Jeffco are not participating in that grant, but if you reach out to James, I think James will get you to another workforce region. Or if you want to reach out to me, I'll find another workforce region and we'll get your folks enrolled. So if you have current apprentices who have not yet taken any workforce money, there's a $750 scholarship for those folks. And obviously, since they're already enrolled in Rapids, it doesn't matter when you connect them to the Workforce Center, just connect them. We can do that.
That's great, Nancy. You know, I know this year, Kat, you know, showed up to our first orientation, and we basically processed every new apprentice to receive that $500. And I think we did it in a way that it allowed Front Range to bill us a reduced amount. Was that right, Lynn? I think, do you remember that? Anyway,
yeah.
This year's apprentices that are, you know, this third cohort, it's the first year that I think everybody got $500. So it sounds like basically right now it's our second year. So if anybody has second year apprentices that haven't, you know, been able to get any money, that would be something to look into. And then I guess really quickly, I'd like to poll, you know, with the Scaling Up grant, it sounds like that is a grant for businesses to fill out who want to expand their apprenticeship program. Is it also available to businesses that maybe want to implement apprenticeship? Like they're like, yeah, we're interested, but we just haven't taken the leap.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, you know,
and again, I think if you look at the RFA, I think it will say that specifically, and applications are due April 15th. So it is something that, I know you guys are in a busy season, but it is something that if you have the ability to review and get a sense for. But the idea is to develop and expand apprenticeship programs.
Gotcha. So I guess I would, you know, like throw up a quick poll. You know, are there other companies or people here in this call that think they might be interested to pursue that? Because what occurs to me is it might make sense for us to hop on a separate, like, you know, we need a little hand holding or orientation to see if we can jump into that. So, you know, I'm interested. Looks like Mike's interested, Lindsay, Dave. So we have some interest. So Nancy, would you be willing, or someone from your organization be willing to kind of like give us a more, you know, just kind of give us an overview, or like what we have, you know, like we don't write grants a lot, like, you know, maybe it's self-explanatory, but you know, if we're going to go through the process of doing it, we want our best shot at being successful.
I'm going to have to go and I'll talk to CDLE. I know that when I've tried to dig a little bit more, they're like, for the sake of like equity and access, like there's only certain things that they can share. Okay. So there is, I put in, well, here, I just did it. I put in the chat a link, and it says, for more information, including full grant details and instructions, please refer to, and gives you a link. For any additional questions, there's a person at the state to contact, and it says put RFA Scale Up grant in the link. So that, I
Okay.
think those things are there. I could see if what I can say, or maybe see if we can pull together an opportunity for CDLE staff to kind of give a quick overview. I sat in on one of those. It doesn't have a lot of information in it
Okay.
for that reason, but I can see what I can do.
Yeah, and I don't want to make it more complicated. It's just what comes up for me is like, if I'm going to, jump into that, want to be successful.
They recently did an information session, I think yesterday, and I know that they recorded it.
Yeah, just
So
yesterday.
that might be what Nancy was talking about, that didn't have a ton of specific information in it. The biggest takeaway I got was that $5,000 can be devoted to equipment, and then the rest has to be other expenses, which could be, wage to design the apprenticeship, stuff like that. And then they said that they were taking questions for a couple more days and then going to release all the answers to those questions soon as well. So I think you could figure out how to submit those questions on that link that Nancy just dropped.
Okay, excellent. Looks like Nikki, you got your hand up.
Yeah,
Thank you,
I just
Alex.
wanted to say I also attended that webinar just to see, and I'd love to hear Nancy and Alex, your input. One of the questions I asked was, and it seemed like the message was that they'd really like a consolidated application if it's for the same apprenticeship. And so I wanted to get your opinion if that meant that the sector partnership would represent the application for any of the employers that are wanting to participate in the funding for this arborist apprenticeship as kind of a consolidated effort, because that was one of the messages that came up a couple times on that. And I think we could qualify as an apprenticeship intermediary since we kind of are
what we do.
Well, can I clarify?
Yeah,
the employer is the sponsor, correct? Not.
Yeah.
correct.
there's
Yes, so they
multiple
would be under the
sponsors.
registered apprenticeship sponsor, but under eligibility, there's multiple things. So there's education and training providers, apprenticeship and intermediaries. And I asked them about the sector partnership and they said yes, as long as it was a like that consolidated I'm sorry, my words aren't coming to me, for that kind of that apprenticeship intermediary. It could also follow under the education and training provider. It could also follow under more the Front Range umbrella. My thought is that I'm happy to help kind of organize your side group, get those questions, because there is a deadline to submit those questions and they do have to be by email. So maybe our side group can come up with the questions that we still have, submit those questions, and then make sure that we've got those answers to be able to make the best decision and move forward how makes sense.
Cool. Thanks for that,
Lindsay,
Nikki.
you had your hand up?
I did have a quick question just to understand whether we should be involved in sort of future discussions. Is this eligible for pre-apprenticeships?
Say that again. Is it eligible for pre-apprenticeships?
Mm-hmm.
I do believe pre-apprenticeships could, yeah. It was
Awesome.
my understanding.
Thank you.
I think with a letter of support from the actual employer of the apprenticeship.
Yeah. So you do have to have, to be a quality pre-apprenticeship, there is no requirement to have any formal connection, but to get this grant, there is that requirement. So you would then have to have specific letters of partnership with particular registered apprenticeships.
So I don't want to take everyone's time here, but this partnership is our official sponsor and partner. So perhaps that would qualify us.
So I think the letters they're talking about are the letters with the actual apprenticeship programs. So the employers then that these pre-apprentices would move to. It would be those letters that they're asking for.
Yeah. So basically, if you had a letter from employers that said, hey, we're committed to you know, I don't know, at least interviewing graduates of the pre-apprenticeship program for employment. That's probably like where we are with that. You know, maybe that's sufficient. I don't know.
Hey, Josh, the other thing we talked about as we start looking at condensing down the program some, this money could be used to help us with some videos and things to make that online portion, that hybrid portion really helpful and really good. So I'd like to go ahead and submit for some dollars to help make the apprenticeship hybrid.
Yep. Okay, cool. In terms of the related learning delivery model that we're using to keep, you know, get, you know, because really the biggest thing is like flexibility and agility so that we can still deliver related learning without having to, you know, pull everybody out of production and sit them in a classroom, right? Like we see that that's available if we could just get, you know, some more of that online curriculum accessible.
Right, and make it not just reading, but videos and things like that. And I know TCIA has some of those, so we can partner with them. But if we could get some of this funding to kind of help move that along, that would be really helpful.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I don't want to
Nikki,
like.
Can I ask? I was just going to say real quick. Did they refer you to a document that would like answer questions like that, and like that you put in the chat that online learning qualifies as equipment? Like, is there a document that you could refer to so that you could be clear as to what's equipment and what's not?
No, it would be honestly, because I that's why I attended the webinar, so I could ask all my very specific questions. So any of those things, we would do that. Ask James Ponder, who's their person to ask those questions. I would say we would ask that. The one grant that we applied for before, we asked for technology like that for a higher amount than $5,000. And I believe that's why we didn't get the grant. They just like said, nope, that's over 5,000. So I believe we'd have to clarify any of those expenses. But assuming that that falls under equipment, most things that aren't associated with the person itself would probably likely fall under equipment, is my assumption.
Well, what's not under equipment then?
Tuition, salary.
Okay, so like we could apply for reimbursements to employers who pay their apprentices to sit in class. Is that right? Okay.
I think that we were not allowed to apply for apprentices' salary because that is covered by the workforce centers, or it's a possible cover by the workforce centers in that $3,000. So you could pay for the salary of the person mentoring the apprentice,
yep,
but
okay.
not of the
Journeyworker.
apprentice.
Yep. Sorry that I wasn't more specific.
Got it. Okay, that's good to know.
And
Sounds
I
like.
think,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think the idea is or the underlying thought is that there's a recognition that to move from the current way of working with folks and training folks to an apprenticeship may involve this transition to maybe hiring new staff or, half an FTE or something. And so this is to try to help bridge that, but then the expectation would be that there's a plan to keep that going. So I would just kind of throw that out there. I think that this can help you get started, but then there has to be that business plan that keeps it going.
Yeah, the sustainability component. Got it. Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that's a reality for us is like train the trainer, is like this whole concept of like, the show or, tell, show, do, and this training model that Journeyworkers really, they do it, but they don't really necessarily understand it or aren't like quite as literate with that whole process. And that's where, it's this train the trainer opportunity we have. So sounds like we need to take this offline, because we got to keep the meeting going. But I think it's really productive discussion, and I think we need to circle back to see how we can apply again. Is everybody good with that?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. Keep the agenda going. I just wanted to, while we're on apprenticeship and monies and things like that, I did have a discussion with, I don't know if you guys remember, it's a guy out of Boulder, Brett Kincairn and Amy Morris. They're working on this it was the Urban Drawdown Initiative. I think they're in touch with Denver Park people. There's this whole campaign of like Cool Boulder, looking at climate action, specifically as it relates to urban forests. He's in the process of applying for more funding. And I said, hey, one of the biggest gaps for us in terms of hiring is apprentices, and moving this model forward is the cost of related learning. So he did offer to put in his grant request, to pay for some related learning for apprentices. It's just sort of a one-off. I don't know where it's going to go, but I just thought I'd throw that out there that he's putting that in with some of the work that he's doing. So I don't have the agenda visible to me, but maybe Nikki, you could walk us through what's next.
Yep, I think we were going to highlight some upcoming events.
Cool. Awesome. So it looks like we've got an aerial rescue workshop coming up, and that's a pretty low cost, $35 per person, being put on through a grant through TCIA, the ASTI grant, looks like. Yeah, I don't know. Did anybody, Nikki, have anything else you want to say about it?
Just contact Randy directly to register, and it's in Fort Collins.
All right, awesome. And it's definitely a topic that, for example, this training is a topic that's relevant to related learning for apprentices. And so you can use this as related learning, right? So that's like an 8-hour day of aerial rescue. And you can apply that to, your related learning for your apprentice. So,
yeah. And Josh, maybe there's a way to partner on that. I mean, if we're bringing an instructor to teach and they're already teaching it, I wonder if we can partner. And so I'll get a hold of Randy maybe to know who is the instructor and how maybe it could partner with the apprenticeship program.
Yeah, absolutely.
Point
And
in
I don't,
duplicating.
I can't, or do we have aerial rescue on the agenda that's coming up, or?
Yeah, it's part of what is taught in the third year.
Okay, cool.
And it's a full class, so.
Just as a reminder on that, registration closes in a week for anybody that's interested in getting into that rescue workshop.
Cool deal. Thank you for that, Nikki. And it reminds me, I did get a notification from Luke Peters, who's with this company, Academy Trained, who's a private training company. And they are also on April 29th coming in and conducting a training. It's about $175. It's up in Loveland. It's called a demo day. So, there are other people putting on these trainings. And so there's just things for us to kind of look at. I'll see if I can share that with you, Nikki. I just got the note on it the other day.
Yeah, so Josh, that's actually a 2-day deal. There's a demo day, and then there's kind of a follow-up day as well for probably mid-level climbers.
Okay.
Yeah. In Longmont or Loveland, Longmont, I think.
Awesome. And then we have the tree climbing competition coming up. This is I encouraged my apprentice to sign up and register just to get in there to compete. And we're also talking about having a presence, and we have in the past. We've set up a table. I know, Lynn, you've attended that. I've attended it. Kelly, you have as well, and probably some others in here. It's just a great way for us to raise awareness about the apprenticeship program. I think we should plan on being there. I don't know, Nikki, if you had any conversations, or Kelly, if like if we can get in there, do we have to pay for a booth, or how that all works?
I believe we're going to have a conversation about it next week or tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? Tomorrow.
All right, awesome. I started in this field over 20 years ago, and I signed up for my first competition after I'd only been working for like 3 months, and I think I threw the throw ball, like, I don't know, probably to another event, I just taking this perspective that it's a great opportunity to compete with people that have some really great skills. And so it's not about showing up and, sort of showing off. It's really about learning is in a fun, competitive way. So that's kind of the spirit of the event in my experience. Sweet. And moving on, do we have anything else? I think we're getting to tree care employer and business workforce needs. So this is an opportunity. Anybody have anything out there that's they need help with, that is a current reality in their business, or an opportunity they want to share? Just kind of throw that out there, sort of our open topic session for us here. Cool. Bueller, nobody, everybody's good. All right, cool. Let's keep rolling. How we doing with time? We got 7 minutes. Is that right, Nikki? All right.
Yep, that was actually the end of the agenda.
Okay, excellent. We're crushing through it. Yeah, I think that's it. I know that last time, just bringing up here, I talked with Madeline and I shared with her some of the discussion we had on our leadership team about the pre-apprenticeship, and this sort of like, hey, if we're going to engage, we need an MOU that's going to work for employers, because the reality for employers is if they bring anyone out on a client's property or a job site, got to have workers' comp insurance, right? And I don't know, Lindsay, if you're able to speak to that or where you guys are, but that was just one thing. If we want to be moving forward in partnership, and we just have to kind of keep checking these things off as we go.
Totally, Josh. Thanks for bringing that up now, and also with Madeline. I think our sort of nonprofit world and time frame is just so different from the private sector, and so I think that was just like a little friendly bump and reminder that we need to be pushing this forward, because obviously everybody on your end has to review it, and we understand some of the legal teams at bigger companies like Save a Tree, et cetera, will take some time to review that. So we've sort of bumped up our timeline on that, and are requesting that for any of our identified employer partners, people, several of you here that we've been talking to, if you could send Madeline a list of what you've identified and what you've understood from your conversations with us that you'll be providing, that will help us flesh out that side of the MOU. And then we work on a pro bono legal team over here, and so our timeline necessarily runs just differently. It's just different. So we have our draft ready, and it's at our lawyers, and so we're hoping to take that, insert your part, and then review it. And a few of you, Kelly, Josh, have been kind enough to offer to sort of review that in person with us and give feedback. So we'd love to move that forward. So if you don't mind getting me that scope of work that you've identified, we can go ahead and start plugging and playing and just kind of pushing this process forward as fast as we can here. I think another question Madeline asked was kind of an internal deadline on your side for like, how much time do you need so that we can get those revisions going and make sure that we have everything in place with ample time to start the program.
All right, great. Yeah, it sounds like there's some action items there and you guys are working on it. Do we have someone here from Workforce still? Because that's one thing that did come up for me. I know in the past, workforce, county workforce offices, they have this like internship program where they pay people to, they sponsor the wage and the workers' comp for someone to come into your business for like a project on a project base. Like I've used that at a previous company. And I just brought that up to Madeline, like, hey, the workforce might be someone else to reach out to, because if they have the sort of the process and the infrastructure in place to get coverage, for people, that might be another, just might be a way to partner. I don't know. So
we'd love to find that out. We've talked with DLC Arbor Services. I'm not sure if you all are familiar with Mike Mays there, and he did some research on the cost of workers' comp, and it looks like it's about $1 per person per hour to get them covered while they're on site with an employer. So, we're looking at about 1 to 2 people on your work site for an 8-hour day. So the cost there isn't hopefully going to be extraordinary, and is something that we can cover. We just need to flesh out the actual logistics of either working with multiple employer partners or providing one coverage. I think our concern is if they're covered under our workers' comp and they're on your site, where does that leave us? And so there's just some outstanding questions of who's holding the policy and the various liabilities there. So those are questions that we have and would love just to like a little bit more input on, frankly.
cool. Awesome. Well, let's do that, Lindsay, and appreciate the, moving that ball forward. So keep doing that. I did want to speak to last year, we had been in touch, with Holly. I think, we had a meeting, we had talked about this opportunity to, get in front of, the Conservation Corps folks in Weld County as a sector partnership or as employers. And Holly, since you're on the call, I don't know if you're tuned in, but I think that possibility is still there. Like anybody that's looking for potential employees. So we want to be able to get in front of some of those folks. So I just want to throw that out there as a last open topic. I think we do have interest in speaking to your people and letting them know what the opportunities are within our profession.
Yeah, that would be great. We have talked to a local tree service company. It's a Loop Lines Tree.
Yep.
And we are in conversation with him about coming out and showing our crew what he's doing. And we kind of hope to be like a feeder for him. And then in turn, like he would send his applicants to us to get, the safety training and the basic chainsaw stuff from us. We would also then like be able to let him know they show up every day. They ask our UAs all the time. They're like a really reliable person. And so I think it could be a really, really good partnership. So we would be a pre-apprenticeship and then they would do the apprenticeship through Loop. So.
Awesome. Well, yeah, it might be great to connect with Luke, see if we can bring him in the fold, or at least, have him in the conversation if he's partnering with you guys. And I think his reality of like, needing quality people is a shared reality for every tree care company. And yeah, awesome to hear that you're moving forward with that.
Yeah.
Sweet. Does anybody have anything else before we hop off the call?
Josh, real quick, we're going to have a film person at the event, the April 6th graduation. We're doing some videos on the importance of apprenticeships. And so that he'll be talking to instructors, to students, to employers about how the apprenticeship works for them and how important it is. And that video footage will be available if we wanted to use it, if you all wanted to use it with the partnership down the line.
Awesome. Cool. That's excellent, Lynn. So yeah, getting out ahead of that, knowing that, we could share that, maybe we could, find a way to push that to ISA or some of our other partners, maybe TCIA once that film is out. I think that would be great. Sweet. Well, I really appreciate everyone's time, presence, and contribution to the meeting today. Hopefully it was productive and sounds like we have some action items to follow up with, and we have some opportunities to, get us closer to being a sustainable program. So thank you all.